everybody, and welcome to Brooks Knows Baseball, the weekly podcast where we talk about all the going-ons and happenings in the baseball world, as well as some interest piece stories, I guess you could say, as well. If you're new here, which you might be, because we had our last video, I think we increased almost like 15 to 20-ish subscribers from the last time we've spoken with you guys. Our Oriole video has released. It's been a week. Orioles Magic, the story of the 2023 Baltimore Orioles, which kind of goes over the improbable rise from the depths of hell, really, when they lost 115 games, to being first place in the AL East as of today, taking 3 of 4 from the mighty Tampa Bay Rays. So the best team in the American League right now is Baltimore Orioles, which is great. And if you want to know how that happened, watch the video. Today's episode, we're going to talk about, I guess, what do you say, the 5 most impactful,
or 5 of the more impactful, maybe not the
more impactful trades the last 10, 15, whatever years. And T-Bone, I think the first one we had really to discuss here. What do you think? The Mookie Betts trade.
Well, you think that one? Okay, go ahead and I'll tell you what I think is the most impactful.
Yeah,
results.
Let's see. In 2020, we got the Red Sox. They sent Mookie Betts and David Price to the Dodgers for Verdugo, Jeter Downs, and Connor Wong. Looking at that trade, David Price was semi-impactful, at least in a relief role for the Dodgers. But Mookie Betts has really been a superstar every year he's been there. He's going to get MVP votes this year, as he should get MVP votes this year. And they won the World Series immediately with him. So
Connor Wong had little impact in Boston.
Very little. Verdugo has been a solid player, but Jeter Downs, wasn't he kind of a bust?
Yeah, he's in Washington's minor leagues last I heard.
So he's a bust for the Red Sox because they sent him off. So I think, I guess there's really no argument there who won that trade. What do you think?
I totally agree on that one. Yeah, but they I think at the time they kind of felt like they needed to get rid of him for whatever reason. I don't know. I remember he wanted a big contract, or they thought he was on the downside or something, so they felt like they couldn't re-sign him. Or no, I think they just didn't re-sign him, so just a bad move.
Very bad move. But if you look at the Red Sox, they're 4th place now. But it's they're ahead of the Yankees, maybe, right?
They're winning right now. It's like 6-1 against the Mets in the 9th. So,
that's like beating a AAA team.
The whole division's got way over 500 each team.
The Red Sox are last place.
Are they, even with their win tonight? Add a win to it.
They'd be tied for last place than the Yankees.
But what's their record going to be?
53-47. Same as Yankees.
Last place team, and you got over 500 record. That's something else.
They're
in the Central. They've been first.
It's a great day that the Red Sox and Yankees are last place, tied for last place. Love it.
Absolutely.
Love it. But the second, or do you want to have any thoughts on that? You want to add any trade yourself, Big Dog?
Absolutely. I think the most impactful trade in the last 6 or 7 seasons was Justin Verlander to the Astros. Okay. They gave up Diaz, Cameron, Perez, and Jake Rogers. Jake Rogers is a 194 lifetime hitter, and I think he missed the whole year last year, but from injury. Verlander is part of 2 World Series winning teams with Houston, so you can't beat that trade. I mean, Mets probably don't want him now, but still. But that's my most impactful trade in the last so many years.
Yeah, I would say it's definitely up there. Another one I want to mention here is the Andrew Miller trade when he was with the New York Yankees to the Cleveland Indians. It looks like here that the Yankees got back Clint Frazier.
Who's a bust.
He had a couple.
He changed his first name, He goes by something else now.
Isn't he in AAA now? I think I did. I saw another YouTube guy made a video, and I think I did read about Clint Frazier. Justice Sheffield, who's isn't he out in Seattle now? Or
I think he's something. You don't hear much about.
No, then Ben Heller and JP Firestein.
Ben Heller is he still with the Yankees now? Ben Heller, he's with somebody. I seen this in the box scores today or yesterday.
And I know Firestein's still playing. At least he is in MLB The Show. Ben Heller plays for the Braves right now, so it did not work out for the Yankees. And then let's see where JP's at.
It worked out for him. Instead of being on the last place team, he's on the first place team.
Right, and JP Firestone is the Mets now, so he's really bounced around. So I don't think it's really any.
Hey, what does both New York teams have in common? Are they both? They're not both in last place, but Mets are close because the Nationals are only like 4 games behind them, and they're in the field.
Firesen, whatever his name is. He must be hurt this year, I believe, because he's on 60 ADL. You know, last year he played 22 games, 2 starts. His ERA was 0.00.
Dang,
The
not
Yankees should
bad.
have kept him. But you're looking at Andrew Miller. He was ALCS MVP that year. He took
People
him all the way to the World Series. So I think
people forget about him. There was a time he was one of the top relief pitchers, man.
he's like Felix Bautista, King Felix
Remember,
Bautista.
didn't he pitch for Baltimore briefly one year when they were trying to make a push?
He was
Yeah,
very good for him, from
he
what I
played on
remember.
a lot of teams.
Yeah, like I said, I'm reading here. He was a dominant force out of the bullpen. He had an ALCS, and then he stayed with the Indians for a few years after that. He just tried a few years ago, but he had a very good career. The end of his career kind of skewed his numbers overall. But Andrew Miller, yeah, Indians won that trade in my eyes.
The Indians make some good trades. They got a lot of prospects to trade with.
Yeah. Moving on past the Indians, we go to the Robinson Cano trade, which was a few years back in 2018. When he was with the Seattle Mariners, they traded Cano, and Cano, I guess, at the time was probably viewed upon as the crown jewel of that trade, but now looking at it from today's world, it's not, because Cano just took a massive dump. Got caught with some PEDs. Really, I think ruined his career. Uh, what am I trying to say? His career view, like how people view him. I think it kind of ruined it there.
Right, right.
Um, just kind of what happened to him. I mean, I think he's kind of a surefire Hall of Famer, but with the PD suspension and the terrible years he had in New York Mets, New York's little brother, I guess. But then you look at closer Edwin Diaz, who up until unfortunately WBC towards the ACL was widely regarded as the best closer in baseball, at least the
Now,
most
now
electrifying
is
closer
he
in
the
baseball.
best DS closer in the family?
This year,
His brother's lighting it up, man.
yeah. But then you look what the Mariners got in return. It's pretty sad. Jay Bruce, who at that time was old, Anthony Swarzak, Jared Kelnick, and Justin Dunn, and pitcher Gerson Bautista. Of all those guys, really Kelnick is the only one noteworthy. But Kelnick, up until most of this year, was
Is he
known as being
boxing now?
kickboxing against
Oh,
Cool.
okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Kelnick
okay. Worked out
kind of
good for him.
starting to show a little bit more this year. He's been widely regarded as a huge bust up until I guess this year. But he's still like, I mean, he probably hit like in the 250s, which is about
Yeah,
60.
but hey, that's a massive increase for him.
I
He's still
like.
young enough. He's still going to be good, I think. Solid.
I hope so for his side. But it's Roar. Who won that trade? I think it's pretty easy. There's no one really who was seen as really impactful yet for the Mariners. Kelnick's really the only one who could be, and then with Diaz, he was super impactful. Cano, I'm sure, had a couple good games for him. But Diaz, I'd say the clear winner of that trade would be the New York Mets as well.
Absolutely.
Moving on there, we got the Prince Fielder Ian Kinsler trade. Looking back all the way 10 years ago now. Crazy to think it's been 10 years here, but looking at Ian Kinsler stats once he came over, I think the clear winner of that one would have to be the Ranger or Tigers.
Tigers, because of
Yeah.
Prince's injury. But
Yeah.
I got one we really forgot about, and it's a short time just this season to base it on. But finish your comment on that one, and I'll mention something. Just a trade. It's a massive steal for somebody.
Well, looking at the 3 years Kinsler was traded there, he hit 286, averaged 20 home runs, 83 RBIs, and hit 286 in 3 years past that. And Prince probably, I know he was a very good player. I know. Um, Hell, we saw him win in 2013 in spring training. I remember.
Oh,
um,
okay.
in Lakeland. We were down there. We saw him, and um, trying to look here about Prince Fielder. He just never got off the ground in Texas and couldn't stay healthy. He had a back problem, and it ultimately
End his
caused him
career.
to retire. So in the season after he got traded to Texas, he played 42 games and hit only 247. If you look at all of his Texas stats together in the 3 years, like I said, Ian Kinsler hit what I say 286. Very impactful years. Had a Gold Glove, All-Star game, MVP votes.
He's a super solid player. I always liked him.
Yeah, you're looking at here at Prince Fielder. He played only 289 games in the time frame. Hit 34 home runs. Hit average 11 per season. Hit 269, which is decent. But when you look at his averages, 11 homers, 53 RBIs. Not what you're expecting from a guy who a couple years earlier than that hit 50 home runs, 46 home runs, had 141 RBIs. Um, how did he not win the MVP that year? 46 home runs, 141 RBIs, hit 299, and he finished fourth in MVP voting. That's wild. But I'd say
Crazy.
the Rangers definitely lost that trade.
Well, how about this year? How about the Murphy trade for uh, Atlanta Braves? They got Sean Murphy, the catcher,
Yeah,
made the All Star teams, ripping the ball out more
he's the
power in his.
best. He's the best catcher in the National League.
I
Right.
think so now, and um, they people these teams they rape the A's. I mean, they got Olson the year before. He's got 80 some RBIs, 30 plus home runs. I mean, they're dominating, and they're Oakland A's. You know,
The Oakland A's
poor
are kind of known for making just terrible, terrible trades. Um,
Moneyball's really working out, isn't it?
well, let's see. I mean, I just googled here the worst trades, and Oakland's on there. How they gave up Barry Zito and Tim Hudson.
Oh
So
yeah, and Tim Hudson went where? Atlanta. Atlanta must really like Oakland. That's
here's
their farm.
this article's a little older here, but here's the 5 worst trades in Oakland history. Let's see: Reggie Jackson for Don Baylor.
How was that? Well, Baylor was a good, solid player. I think he may even won an MVP
Baylor
after he left.
played only 1 season for the Athletics, where he hit
Yeah,
247, 15 home runs.
yeah, he signed as a free agent with the Angels after that.
He traded Ricky Henderson to New York for nothing. Then Jose Canseco and Ruben Sierra for Bobby Witt and Jeff Russell.
Bobby Witt's dad, the current Bobby Witt.
Jonas Cespedes for John Lester. Cespedes was solid for him. We kind of forget Cespedes really played there. And then Josh Donaldson for Brett Lowry. And then what?
Yeah,
Matt Olson was traded away. What's that? Liam Hendricks was traded away. Cole
Shaman
Irvin.
was
Cole
traded
Irvin,
away.
who's a Cy Young favorite, was traded away.
Everybody, just about everybody they.
Shintaro Fujinami was traded away.
I don't blame them there.
I don't either.
Just get out of that contract.
Speaking of West Coast teams making poor trades, let's take a look at Craig. I always get his name wrong. Craig Kimbrel, when he was with the Padres. This was 2015. It looks like here the Padres traded Kimbrel and Melvin Upton Jr. to the Atlanta Braves. In return, they got he sent down because there's some good players here.
Okay, Kimbrel was a nobody back then, right? He was a minor leaguer
Uh,
because
no,
he
no.
wait a minute, because Craig Kimbrel started with Atlanta.
Yeah, no. This was 2015. He was known before then.
Oh, and
Um,
he came back to Atlanta.
unless my information's wrong here, I didn't know he did that.
I
But
didn't either.
let me double check. But it's saying here for Cam Mabin, which, and
Last
then
I seen, he was a TV announcer last year with the Yankees and got fired after 1 year. But anyway,
Matt Whistler and Jordan Powerbeck. As it says here, the
ooh,
Campbell's already established as one of the most dominant closers in baseball at the time of the trade.
was on an All Star team this year, right? Didn't he close
He
the game out?
He continued to excel at the Braves and maintain his status as one of the top relief pitchers in the league. The Braves are entering a rebuilding phase, and he did not immediately lead to significant success. They traded him to the Red Sox after the 2015 season. The Padres here says the Matt Whistler showed promise as a pitching prospect was later traded to the Atlanta Braves. Ironically, the team he was originally traded from in another deal in 2015. In the long run, neither team saw a clear-cut advantage of the trade. Kimbrel continued to perform at an elite level, but his presence alone did not transform the Braves into immediate contenders. The Padres received a package of players with potential, but did not see any sustained impact from anybody. Given the mixed outcomes and experienced varying degrees of success, it's challenging to say which team really won this trade as well.
Yeah. Well,
Here we go.
that's about that. But how about we do something a little offbeat here, and let's make one a trade, a future trade here this year that you might think, a prediction, a trade.
You can go
You
first.
know, okay. Well, I'm gonna tell you what I'm thinking. Baltimore needs some pitching. I'm thinking they've been a frequent Oakland trade partner recently because they just got the Japanese fella Fuji, and they got Cole Irvin beginning of the year, so they obviously have a good relationship with them. They got a pitcher that I've spoke earlier, J.P. Sears, and the Orioles got so many prospects that have nowhere to go. I think they give it up, and they could give them something. Hell, they could give them current, current player or two that's up there wouldn't hurt them, and a prospect and get him. I think that add a lot to them. That's my prediction.
Yeah, I read today the Orioles aren't going to make any trades though, so who knows?
Yeah, but it's guess just like what I just did. They don't know because Elias don't tell you anything. If you ever listen to his interviews, he don't tell you anything.
I
You
hope.
know,
I'm thinking the biggest player to be traded. I don't think Otani's going to get traded. I don't think the Padres are going to be sellers anymore because they're only like 3 or 4 games off of 500. I don't think the Padres are going to be sellers. Mets should be sellers, but I heard they don't want to be, but they should be.
well, hey, there's not much there you'd want. I mean, they're
Mm-mm.
all so old. It'd be Reynolds short term, and Verlander's okay. Not his typical. Scherzer's not doing good. They're not going to get rid of any of your young prospects. So who are they getting rid of? And then some of these teams are going to give up. You don't think they're going to say, "Well, we're not. We're going to change." Like Cleveland's known for, even when they're in it, they'll trade people. And
Yeah,
Bieber looked like he was on his way out. Now he's hurt, I guess. What did you ever hear? What the diagnosis was on him?
I did not.
I don't
And
know if he's.
I don't know. But let us know
Um,
in the comments here what trades you guys liked over the last years. I know one Manny Machado trade, we were talking about that. We have a list of them down here. The Adam Eaton, Lucas Giolito trade. We got the
that worked out.
James Shields for Fernando Tatis, which is
How
wild.
about the Garrett Cole to Astros? He was 35-10 with the Astros.
What about Chris Archer and Glasnow, Pirates and Rays?
Yeah, well, that's kind of how is that trade? Because Glass now,
Archer was terrible for him.
I know, I
Glasnow's
know.
still there, so there you go. And they got Austin Meadows too, who's had his moments. But then also the fun one I have here is the Manny Machado to the Dodgers trade with the Orioles got back bags of dog crap, except for one he's got a 4.8 ERA this year, so he's kind of a bag of dog crap as well.
But he does fight. I mean, he'd give up some runs, but he fights to the end. He's got 9 wins. Dean Kramer, and I think
His
he's
ERA is
pitching
almost
tomorrow.
5. Wins mean nothing. His ERA is 5.
Wins
5.
mean everything. Wins mean everything.
Well, they're skewed because the Orioles scored 14 runs when he
Well,
starts.
hey, he gets it done when he has to, man. I
How
mean,
is it
there's some
fair?
games.
How many wins does who's your best pitcher right now?
Brad,
How many wins does he have? 6. And his
yeah,
ERA
he's got just
two,
barely over
two
3 ERA.
his
Kyle
ERA is
Bradish,
2 runs per game lower.
he's underrated pitcher, isn't he? And they gave up Dylan Bundy for him. Woo-hoo. And they got a couple other prospects still in the system for him. Did you realize that? They really took him. But back to the Elias, you're saying them not trading. If Elias doesn't trade anybody, I think it's ownership because in Houston he was part of that. They made big trades. Garrett Cole, Verlander, Greinke, they made big trades. So and he's got prospects just like he did in Houston. And when he traded in Houston, he gave up junk. I mean, he didn't give up much. I
Yeah.
mean, when he got Garrett Cole, he gave up Colin Moran, uh, Feliz the pitcher, Michael Feliz, and Musgrave, Joe Musgrave. Or is it Musgrove? Either way. I mean, wow. And he got Garrett Cole 35-10 in 2 seasons. 30. I mean, think of that.
Yeah. But like I was saying here, let us know in the comments the big trades you guys were surprised to see some impactful trades, anything like that. I know we do have right now looking at. Again, I'm just looking at our analytics here. Just give you guys a quick update. We got a minute and a half here left before we're going to shut it down. But even in the last 20 minutes we've been on here, we've gotten an additional like 100 views on one of our videos. We have 30 over 30 likes on it. We're getting good. There's like 90 hours
Yeah.
of time, so
Tell
it's
us what you want to hear. Tell us what you want, what you're interested
we
in.
are going to be making more videos like the Orioles because seeing the feedback from that really is
I'd
exciting.
like to. I'd like to do the Dodgers, Mets, Yankees, Atlanta, and maybe Oakland. Well, a lot of people wouldn't
The
care, but
off season
that'd
will
be
be more time for stuff like that. I
yeah.
believe we'll be doing
We
that.
should
So
do one on every team in the off season and where they're headed and why they're in the
we're,
situation they are. Pardon?
yeah, I said it'll be a lot of work, but it's worth it. So yeah, we're going to shut her down here, T-Bone. Let you do the adioses, and then we'll get on out of here.
All right, that's all for now, folks. We'll see you next time on Brooks Knows Baseball.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, John Boy.